This is the CT Sports Talent Show. My name is Chris Saunders, and with the girls and boys basketball season just a few days away as far as the practice is beginning, it's great to be able to have conversations with players and coaches as the previews start to kind of roll out, and the season will begin just like that. And I continue on the girls' side as I'm pleased to have on a returning guest who's been on the show a number of times. I know it's been a little bit late since he's been here last. Joe Fortier is with me, the head coach of the Pomperaug girls basketball program. Coach, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me again, Chris. It's always a pleasure to be fun. It's always fun to be on and talk girls basketball with you.
I also have on one of his players, a senior who's a three-way sport athlete, but also a talented basketball player as well. Alexis McKenzie. I appreciate you coming on, Alexis.
Thank you for having me.
Should be a lot of fun being able to talk about Pomperaug Panther basketball. And I know last year was a historic year for the program as my partner, who was the all-time leading scorer at Pomperaug, Dave Grant, on the boys' side, was ecstatic and so happy for Pomperaug. I'll go to Coach first. I just want to go back to that year really quickly, or that past season. I mean, the amount of energy, I saw the support, being able to broadcast the games over the weekend during that time at Mohegan Sun, seeing the amount of joy and just seeing the town, right, being able to support the program. I mean, talk to me about that experience, because that must be one you'll never forget.
Definitely something I'll never forget. Most fun I've had coaching basketball, and I've been lucky to have a lot of great seasons at Pomperaug. Just that run in general, it felt like it was one big day, that whole state tournament, because everything kept blending in. It started with, we had a bye the first round, but that second round matchup with Hill House, who had just got the transfer in from Maloney, they were really tough. They were and so it was not your easy second round game. And it just took off from there. I thought it was our best basketball that stretch, and it seemed like there was a pasta party or a function every day, and everyone coming up and kind of rallying behind us. It was just a lot of fun, a 2-week stretch of some amazing memories.
I'll go to Alexis next. Now, you being as far as, playing the game within the court, I know Coach has the hard job. He's got to be able to get everybody prepared for the game. And I know you guys are executing as far as what's being practiced. Talk to me about kind of what you and your teammates went through, because not only you guys had a great season, 18-2, being able to get to the championship game. You lose to E.O. Smith in a very, very tough, hard-fought game. But the history that was made by you young ladies. Did you feel any pressure throughout the season?
I feel like during the season, like we were really like prepared well, and like kind of like we're able to like know what to expect through all like the games with like the preseason games and then like the in-season games. I think the teams that we play against are all really good. So I think the pressure wasn't as nerve-wracking like at the game and playing like at Mohegan Sun. But it definitely was a really cool environment to be a part of, with just the crowd of people around you and just supporting you from every like aspect, whether it be like in school, at practice, just everywhere. It was really a cool environment to be a part of.
I'll stay with Alexis here. At what point of the season did you and your teammates start to think, okay, we've got something brewing here, right? Like, was it the beginning of the season? Was it at the midpoint? Maybe it was after one of the losses that you guys suffered during the regular season. At what point did you guys feel like, hey, this is like, we've got something cool here going on?
I feel like we just took it game by game. We weren't going to overlook any team or any competition that we had. And we made sure to just play the first game, get that one done with. And then as we went and got closer, it just kept feeling more real.
I'll go to Coach Fortier next. As a coach, and you've been a part of many, you've seen many games, probably more than I'll ever broadcast. What made, and I'm not trying to call you old here. I'm not doing that by any means. Don't worry, I'm getting up there in age too. I'll be 31 in January, so I'm catching up to you. So when, for you, what made, and again, no disrespect to the other teams that you've coached, they were special in their own way. What made this team different than past years? What was it? What was the secret sauce, basically?
Well, I think this has really started about, I don't know, say 5-6 years ago. Maggie Lee, who now is a 5th-year senior at Wesleyan, we sat down, really had a talk with our team, and she was the only senior, and we kind of just started changing the culture. seeing what we could do to make the culture better, make it a more, it's a long season, 3 months. So just trying to make it, fun to be around. And we know it's competitive. We always, at Pomperaug, we expect to win and compete. So we want to combine the two of them. And since then, I've really had a long stretch of great captains and great leaders. People looked up to Maggie, and then it's kind of, we passed on number 33 from there. And I feel like they all keep learning from each other. Like Claudia never played with Maggie, but I feel like she learned from the previous 33s, the previous captains. It's so many to name. And I think that's the biggest part. Our off season was so strong going into the season last year. Lex, Taylor Brennan, Claudia, Sophia, Zaran, they're all very big part of coming in the off season, being part of Pomperaug basketball. That I knew coming in that we had a good team together. They gelled together. They worked hard together. I'm always nervous. It doesn't matter who we play or what game we play. But the atmosphere of that group and that core of how much they care about Pomperaug basketball made it easy to, try to ease the nerves a little bit going into most games.
I'll stick with Coach here. As I asked Alexis, as far as at what point did the players feel like that this season was going to be potentially something special from a coaching perspective? Was it a particular game? Was it maybe a stretch that you felt like, okay, if we get through this amount of tough teams, either it being a combination of Newtown and Massacre, whatever the case may be, whatever the matchups were, when did you feel like, okay, if we get through at this point, that if we can be on the positive end, then maybe we've got something here?
Lex said it well. Like, we kind of just looked at it one game at a time. I dreamed about going to Mohegan and coaching at Mohegan. And one of my first years, we lost by 1 to Bacon Academy in the semifinals. And I went and saw my friend OC at Newtown. They played in the finals that year. And I told him I was, like 10% happy for him and 90% jealous. And I meant it. I mean, it was, I didn't know if I'd ever have a chance to coach there. So I never really took those games for granted. We started, Taylor Brennan had mono in the first few games of the season. So we didn't know what to expect there. We have a tough league too. Even when teams aren't their dominant self, they're tough places to play, tough gyms to play in. So there's no easy wins, there's no expectations. And then we go to Class L, and every team we played had a good season, had a good record. So I really didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. I don't know if I realized we're going to Mohegan until about a minute left. We were running our 4 corners, which probably won't be able to do much of this year. And I'm looking at the clock, and that was probably when I realized. I think in the timeout we called with 1 minute left, and I said, we're up. I think we're up 10 or 9. I said, I have the worst luck in the world. Please, let's finish this 1 minute out and not worry about it yet.
Hey, the luck actually ended up working out very well for you. I know not in the championship game, but it was able to help you advance to that point. I'll go to Alexis next. Talk to me about the experience, because again, from a broadcasting perspective, being able to walk into the arena, as special as it is underneath, not going through the box office, but kind of entering like you would be if you are a player or somebody who is, kind of like the big time, like the big wigs, right? Being able to do that and, step into the table and seeing the TVs and the cameras from a broadcasting standpoint, that's awesome. But from a player standpoint, being able to walk into the locker room, practice on on the court, the arena, the whole nine, and have your moments. I mean, how cool was that?
I mean, to me, it was the coolest thing like ever. I feel like what part that stood out to it most was kind of like when we walked into the arena and just seeing the huge stands, which is obviously different from what we're used to at like high school. And also the huge jumbotron was definitely like weird when you'd like look up and it would be you on it. So that part was like definitely an adjustment, but it was really just a cool atmosphere to be a part of.
Same question for you, Coach, because I think for you specifically, as you said, as you mentioned before, 10% jealous or 10% happy, 90% jealous. And I remember I didn't want to bother you, especially because I wanted you to enjoy the moment. But when I saw you on the court after I was done with my game, I wanted to come say hello and just say congratulations to you, because I knew how much work went into this. But I remember at one point when I saw you on the court, you were kind of just looking. You were looking at the jumbotron, as Alexis mentioned. You were like you were soaking in the moment. You were taking it in as your players were warming up and starting to shoot and prepare for the game for EO Smith. Talk to me about your experience, man.
Well, I think the first part is when you pull in and you walk into that arena, you see a big wall where all the concert people that signed that, sang there, performed there. So that's pretty cool. You see how many people, WNBA plays there. You get some big time college games there. So it's pretty exciting to be on the court and share a facility like they did. CIAC does a really good job of making you feel special. They hand you the stats. There's like food there. I think every CIAC member came up to me and was asking me if I needed anything, and asking our team if we needed anything. Very good hosts, and they do a great job of making that a great environment for the kids and a special experience. As far as seeing it, I'm so nervous before games, any gym we go into. So me looking around, I mean, I could have been thinking about anything. I really can't tell you. Especially the national anthem. That's my my most nervous time. So I was, I was definitely looking in. I was probably trying to see where my wife and kids were. So we're sitting. We had a great showing of faculty members, students, family, community. So I was kind of checking that out. But again, it stinks to lose. It's probably something I'll think about for a long time. But it's also something we're one of 3 teams at Pomperaug girls basketball that's been at the finals, and we're the first ones to actually play at Mohegan. The other 2 are at Central. So it's it's pretty cool. We did something special, and we'll always remember that. We also know that doesn't guarantee us anything this year, so we're gonna get back to work tomorrow.
And I want to go to Alexis next because now there is a new season. Practice begins I think tomorrow, correct? I think that's when it
Tomorrow,
starts for the
yeah.
girls. Okay, I know the boys start on the 30th, but the girls start tomorrow. So, Alexis, without kind of revealing too much as far as what could potentially come for the program this year, the experience that you and the rest of your teammates have been able to have, and with the ones that are coming back, what's the conversations been like during the fall and even the summertime, if anybody was playing and such? What's that been like?
A majority of the conversations have just been like we lost like last year and like we knew how it felt like coming off the court and it was just done, like we couldn't do anything. There was no next game. So I feel like now like we're going into it with more of a drive to like win it this year. Like we don't want to be walking away without a championship this year. And for me, like especially since it's my senior year, like this is my last year to be able to play at Mohegan and to make this happen. So I feel like it's even more of a drive to really go out and win it this year.
I'll stick with Alexis here. As far as I mentioned before, practice is starting tomorrow. You'll be looked at, if not you were last year already, kind of one of the top players of the program. Obviously, probably I would think teammates will be looking at you if they did last year. They definitely will be this year as well. How will you be able to handle that? Again, pressure aside, and with everything that will be coming into this year, because I know people will be hoping that Pomperaug can make that return this year and hopefully be able to be the last team standing and hoist the trophy.
I feel like going into it, I'm just gonna do the same thing I did last year. Just make sure everyone on my team feels comfortable. They always voice out their ideas and thoughts, because at the end of the day, like we're the one team. Like all of us need to come together to be able to win the tournament.
I'll go to coach next. I've been asking any basketball coach that I've been able to talk to, because with some of the rule changes, shot clock, and now you have the fouls. After 5 fouls, it's 2 free throws, but then that's erased after every single quarter. The personal fouls do stay. The shot clock goes without saying. That's been something that's been talked about for years, and it's finally happening. Has either one of those kind of been in your your wavelength, your thinking, or just not yet?
No, I've been thinking about it for a while. I mean, obviously, as a basketball coach for so long, I'm a basketball fan, so I watched a lot of basketball with shot clocks and college basketball. We're a team that likes to play fast. We're a team that likes to play up and down. So us getting a shot off might not necessarily be a problem. I think where some people don't think about it is we drive to the hoop with 6 seconds left, 5 seconds left, and now it gets knocked out of bounds. We got to run a quick hitter out of baseline out of bounds or a sideline out of bounds play. So you'll do more preparation into those dead ball situations where you have a short shot clock.
Mhm.
But with a full 35, I mean, we usually shoot pretty quick into that. Our drills in practice the last few years have always been 12 seconds where we're trying to run something. We're excited about the shot clock. I know there's going to be some ups and downs in it. There's probably going to be some bad shots. Um, there might be, different ways, different gyms that don't have, it's set up the same way as us or same as others. So there's definitely gonna be a challenge the first year. The foul shots kind of get you. We had, Claudia Snyder did not miss a foul shot last year down the stretch. I'm sure she missed one or two, but she had games where she, made 10 foul shots from the foul line. It's because down the stretch, we spread them, we took it to the hoop, made them foul us, game on the line. Now we're not shooting, you're not getting the 1-and-1 until the 5 shots in. So it'll be different. It helps, on the defensive side because we're not giving up 1-on-1 early, but it will be an adjustment, but probably a good adjustment for basketball. It's exciting to have the changes in there, make it more like the college game. These kids, they want to play in college, so it's nice for them to get a leg up, and when they're competing against college kids, high school kids from other states that already have a shot clock, that already have that, it kind of puts them at a disadvantage to other college coaches. So this helps Connecticut girls basketball overall.
I'll stick with coach here. You mentioned as far as some of the gyms maybe not having the shot clock in the same spot. I know when I was talking to not coach rather, but Dan Scavone of the CIAC during the soccer championships, he had mentioned to me that certain places, gymnasiums, may end up having to do it from the scoring table. Now, is there a way to practice that and prepare your girls potentially for that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it would be ideal if they could see it better with just looking up. So I've been seeing a couple gyms where they have it right behind the hoop or on top of the hoop, which is great. Ours is a little to the right, um, but ideally, you're going to have your point guard and everyone on the court, have a good court presence of how much time's on the clock at all times.
Mhm.
Is it going to be something where we have someone yell from the bench when it gets to a certain time, or what we're going to do with 10 and 12 seconds left? It's going to be an adjustment period. It's definitely going to be weird going to certain gyms that may not have it. It's hard because Mr. Plasky was really quick about getting ours up, but there was also an adjustment of where we're going to get our electricity from, because those walls aren't made with those walls aren't made with electricity. They're not used to it. And that happened where at Woodland too. They had to run a line somewhere. So it's going to be unique. It's going to be adjustment. I like the leaders that I have on my team. They're pretty small, smart basketball players, high IQ. So I think they'll be able to adjust if we work on it in practice, where we kind of put them in situations every day with, hey, what are we going to do with 15 seconds left? Where's the clock? How much time's on the clock?
It's been awesome having you both on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Last question for each of you. First, I'll go to Alexis. With it being your senior year, what are some of the goals, or if you can share maybe one or two that you have for yourself with this being your final year for basketball? I know you have softball to come in the spring, not to speed that up. First basketball. But yeah, if you could share that, that'd be great.
So my three main goals for the season the first one would be to win our league or division, and then also win our league, and then winning state this year.
Okay. And coach, as far as I know, obviously your main goal, I would think, get back to Mohegan, and then second would be winning the title. But as far as personal goals that you have for the team, if you can share any expectations early on, because obviously this will be a little bit of a different group than it was last year.
I mean, the unique thing and the great thing about high school sports is that it's a different team every year. There's always parts that change. It's going to be a huge challenge to lose two leaders like Claudia Snyder and Emma Pfeiffer. They were amazing teammates and role models for them. So that's the first stretch right there. And our first goal there is, how do we, come up with our team this year? What's our culture going to be? What's our environment going to be like? And that upperclassmen, we have great upperclassmen that are going to be able to take that and make it their own. Each senior class, junior class, they should make it their own. That doesn't have to be identical to last year. But we'll never, I love that Lex is positive and looking for those championships, but we have a really tough schedule, and we're just going to look to try to, we know that there's no such thing as a bad loss as long as you learn from it. So we're going to try to learn from every game and try to play our best basketball in the SWC and state tournament. Our last 5, 6 games are against teams that can win a championship. So our stretch down the end is it's going to be tough, and we just gotta stick together as a group and try to hopefully play good basketball.
We've just about run out of time, but again, appreciate you both being able to come on. Alexis, best of luck in your senior year and keep doing what you're doing. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
Coach, awesome being able to talk with you as always. I appreciate you allowing Alexis to be able to come on with you, and you're always representing the coaching environment and also Connecticut girls basketball as best as possible. And bias aside, always rooting for you, Coach, because you've always been good to me and always have been kind, especially in my early years. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate you having me, Chris. You do a great job for high school sports, and I love that you keep pushing for girls sports as well, because you did that for softball. You're doing it for girls basketball, and it's nice to have someone to have a voice for us.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That wrap things up in the CT Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm going to find them all. Enjoy the show, everybody, and be well.